you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate you guys coming by. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you but doesn't judge you. And it gives you the wonderful glow, the Chris Voss Show glow, we call it, that once you lap it up, what the hell? Once you lap it up, once you absorb yourself in it, you listen to the show, you watch the show, you acquire this glow, this knowledge, this shining kind of aura that comes about you, where when you walk around, people go, gosh darn it, you seem so smart. And you're like, what are you doing? What are you taking? What's in your coffee? And you're like, I listen to the Chris Voss Show. I put some in my coffee every morning. Be sure to refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Share the glow, damn it. Quit hogging it. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss one, the TikTokity, and Chris Voss Facebook.com. We have two amazing authors on the show with us today. One who's a multi-book author and one who's brand new. So we're just breaking them in today. We have their newest book that's coming out called Mission Ready, Building High-Performing Teams from the Battlefield to the Boardroom. We have William Branum on the show and Brenda Neckvatal on the show. Did I get those names right, folks?
It's so close. It was good enough.
So close. So William Branum?
There you go. I'm like, I don't even know who you're calling out, but that's fine. You must have listened to Chris Voss show this morning.
There's so much energy. So much energy. Welcome to the show, folks. Giveusyour.com so people can find you on the interwebs.
Brenda, you go first.
All right. So I have one of those wild last names. The easiest way to find me right now, first time, is just yobrenda.com.
Yo, Brenda.
Yobrenda.com.
Yo.
Yeah. Trying to spell my last name is just about as hard as it is saying it. So just yobrenda.com is simple. And you can even find me over on social media very easily by finding me at #DearBrenda.
There you go. And you, sir?
Yeah, so if you go to 5 Seal Secrets, the number 5 Seal, like Navy SEAL, secrets.com, you can find me over there. And on all the socials, I'm William Branum or william.r.branum. Pretty easy to Google. Or
okay.
William Branum, Navy SEAL, you can find me.
Okay. So give us a 30,000 overview from each of you, I guess. What's inside this new book?
Brenda?
So we decided to collaborate. We've known each other for about 4 years. Believe it or not, we met at a funeral. And it was a mutual friend of ours. And Will was about 2 years outside of his retirement from the SEAL teams. And after we met, we just started talking, and I offered to meet with him on a regular basis. And from there, it was 4 years of just being accountability partners. And we would talk about what it was that we were doing, and we'd celebrate each other's wins. We'd motivate each other, and we'd hold each other accountable for the stuff that we were working on. And then Will has always wanted to do a book. I made the suggestion, well, if you want to do, cut your teeth, then, I'm happy to do a book with you. And so we were invited to come speak at an event in Tampa, Florida, a couple of years ago. And that really is actually what pulled the foundation of the book together, because what we were sharing and what we were helping people with were some of the critical components that we feel are very strong that go into a leader developing a high-performing team.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
I was going to say that I remember the story a little bit differently, but Brenda actually.
Did we lose? Did we lose you, William? William, did you lock up on us?
I think you might have.
You might have.
Oh, there we go. Oh, we're back.
We're back. We can hear you. There we can see you.
I was just going to keep just rolling there, and because it looked like I was still live-ish, but I couldn't see anything. So anyway, so I was asked to speak at an event. Brenda was asked to speak at the same event, and it was on leadership, which was something that I have another keynote that I deliver around the world, and I delivered one on leadership, which I called 5 SEAL Secrets of Leadership. And it was, leadership through the lens of a gunfight. And after the event, Brenda was like, "Hey, do you want to write a book together?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know how to do that." She's like, "You just write about what you spoke about. I'll write about what I spoke about, and we'll put it together." And it turns out to be a very interesting and effective collaboration between two very different skill sets, which actually come together to be one very powerful skill set.
Yep.
There you go. And so you guys developed this together over the last little while then?
Yes, sir.
There you go. So give us a rundown on both your biographies. Tell us a little bit about each of you.
Brenda.
I've been in the field of HR for over 30 years now. I've worked for 6 from Fortune 500 companies. I've taken that knowledge and consulted to over 600 small businesses. I've been privileged to also be featured in some pretty major publications like Forbes, Inc. I used to write for Entrepreneur, World News, the U.S. and World News Report, and HRD magazines. There's a couple others that are out there too. And I focus in on crisis management and group dynamics, and I'm a specialist in both of those areas. And one of the things that I do a lot of is helping people figure out how to deal with difficult people problems. Things like people who love to argue and debate everything. How do you work with narcissists? But it goes into really understanding how you can actually build a high-performing team through effectively managing the dynamics of a group. But a high-performing team is going to be directly linked to the strength of the leader. And so we focus on both.
There you go. William?
So my background, a 26-year retired Navy SEAL. I was a sniper instructor. I have quite a few combat deployments. I have 7 combat deployments, 4 to Iraq, 3 to Afghanistan, 10 total deployments. I've done missions that you'll never hear about or know anything about because of the sensitivity of them. They had to be approved by the President of the United States.
Wow.
Pretty cool. Not sexy at all, but it sounds cool anyway. And since my retirement, I have started a CBD company called Naked Wear Recovery. I've started doing business executive leadership coaching, and I'm also a keynote speaker.
There you go. Congratulations, and thank you for your service. We really appreciate it. We've had a lot of great people, men and women from the military, and huge respect. In fact, the leadership function of how our military works and teaches leadership is so extraordinary, and we've studied a lot of it. You ever thought about writing a book about some of your experiences there, or what you can write about?
I think I got to get this one done, and then I actually have plans to write a book about my main keynote presentation, which is 5 secrets to help you think like a Navy SEAL, and the secret is you have to get naked. And if you go to 5sealsecrets.com, you'll learn more about what getting naked is all about.
There you go. So now I have to think of David Goggins naked. We were talking before the show about David Goggins. He's one of the guys who wrote some books, and I believe he was a Navy SEAL, but he went when he was older or something, I think. Or maybe I'm thinking of, I might be thinking of one of the captains we have in our show. I know Brent Crozier was on our show. Captain Brent Crozier was on our show. We've had a few people on, so maybe, I don't know. It was somebody who's a Navy SEAL. We've had Navy SEALs on the show. I know we've had quite a few. But that Hell Week you guys do and the stories I always read about are just crazy.
I had a good time in Hell Week. I actually had fun.
Yeah, there you go. You had fun.
I did. I had a great time during Hell Week.
Wow. There you go. I mean, that's people quit on Hell Week, man. They ring the bell. And
it's interesting. People quit like day one before we even do anything.
Really?
It's the craziest thing. I'm like, you spent all this time and money and effort to get here, and then you quit before we even, anything even starts. It's super interesting on the psychological side of it.
Yeah, that is wild, man. Give us some more details about the book, as what's inside. What are some of the tips and advice you're giving, different formats, etc.?
You want to take this?
I'll take my part of it, and then you take your part of it. So on my part of it, I talk about leadership through the lens of a gunfight. And so, originally I called it 5 SEAL Secrets of Leadership, and I'll break them down really quickly. So number 1 is multitask like a Navy SEAL. So when you're in a gunfight, there's only 3 things that matter. You need to be able to shoot, move, and communicate. And you can't do any one of those things effectively if you're trying to do the other thing. You can't shoot effectively if you're trying to communicate. You can't communicate effectively if you're trying to shoot. And so the bottom line is there's no such thing as multitasking. Step number 2 is leaders get no bullets. And I've gotten a lot of pushback on this, but one of the things that I did as a senior enlisted leader in order to train my replacement, which was my job as a leader, is to train them how to lead in a gunfight. And oftentimes, because they're Navy SEALs, what they want to do is they want to shoot. They want to put rounds down range. And that's not actually what leaders are supposed to be doing. And so I would let them, do these practice gunfights. And eventually I would say, hey, you get no more bullets. And then they feel neutered. They feel inept on the battlefield. And then they actually have to do what they're supposed to do. Look around, read the battlefield, look at their team, look at the enemy, look at the terrain, and then make a decision and then execute it and then continue to move. And so that's number 2. Number 3 is observe, orient, decide, act, OODA loop, which was actually an Air Force term that we took and we use in combat. Number 4 is commander's intent. What is the end result that you're looking for? And number 5 is a decentralized command and control, which is basically you train your team on how to do something and then you let them loose to go and execute the mission. And then you support them however they need to support it. And that's really my big portion of the book.
Awesome sauce. The 5 tasks of, what were they again? The 5. I'm still branding that. I'm still trying to figure it out. So it could be gunfight leadership. I'm thinking maybe it's gunfight leadership. Yeah. I like this. At the OK Corral. Gunfight leadership.
That's actually really good.
Yeah, this could be a great title for a book. Maybe we should use that one. Gunfight leadership.
I think your podcast episode just became a marketing brainstorming session at the same time.
That's what we do. I want a piece of that action. Send me an affiliate check. Gunfight leadership. I'm seeing the halls of a corporation, and at one end is the CEO, and the other end is the vice president, and a board sitting there in the middle somewhere watching to see.
And then we come in and we teach them how to clear rooms with airsoft guns, and then turn that into a whole leadership experience.
I know how to clear rooms without violence. I just drink milk, and about a half an hour later. So there you go. How to clear. We had somebody on earlier. We were talking about milk, so it's carrying over from the other show. There was a Navy carrier called the. They were joking that it was the Moo carrier, but it was called the Cowpen, the USS Cowpen.
I remember that.
The Moo carrier. Do you really?
I remember that boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was during my time.
We just had the author on for that.
Oh, right.
Brenda, give us your some of your tips and tidbits out in the book.
Yeah, really, when it comes to building a high-performing team, it's not an overnight process. It's very much a transformational process. Leaders tend to change. They have to take on and do new things that they've probably never done before. Employees have to take on the same kind of position. So really understanding what makes a high-performing team comes through experience. It's not anything that you can just...
Yeah, I didn't freeze this time. Stoked.
Yeah, we can't believe you're in it this time.
So talking about having a high-performing avatar. And a lot of people don't think about this. So we talked about marketing just a second ago in jokes, but a high-performing avatar, we know what our target market avatar is, but have we ever thought about actually sketching out and defining what it is that we want in an employee? And more often than not, people don't do that. But that's exactly what high-performing leaders do. They really are intentional about bringing in the type of individuals that have like and similar core values. They believe in certain aspects. And so there's a lot of relativity. But at the same time, everybody is skilled at doing something special that actually contributes to the whole. And that is actually really important. The other thing that we talk about too is change is dynamic. How do you navigate change? And high-performing teams navigate change much different than teams that are just average performers. And we really kind of take a look at what are all the stages, how fast does it actually happen, and really help leaders understand what they need to do in order to help everybody usher through that change. High-performing teams, they execute. They're not people that sit around and think. Because if we had thinkers, then SEAL teams would be a think tank, not a bunch of high-level elite operators. Yeah. I'm sure the jokes would be far more sophisticated if they were sitting around talking for a while. But that's all good. Yeah. And
did she just shame Navy SEAL jokes?
What I heard her say is I can hear all of my other special forces brothers being like, oh, they are a think tank because every Navy SEAL out there writes a book. Yeah, of course we do.
There you go.
Because we're awesome.
Yeah, there you guys are.
That's why I work with you guys.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there you go.
But you know what? At the end, really, when you think about what you're doing in a high-performing team, you have to remember one really important thing is that hiring a high-performing team is like dating. It really is. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things that once you bring people in, then you have to nurture them all the way through to, whatever the end of that life cycle is. And so it's not, a lot of people will bring people in, they'll stick them in a job, start working them, but then there's no development after that. And so if you're going to have a positive, really operating team, you have to nurture the team and you have to give opportunity to develop people. But it's always going to start at hiring and choosing, because that's really ultimately what dating is choosing well.
That's true. I run a lot of dating groups and I've dated all my life, and that's really important. It's like, I learned that with our companies. We started with a good mindset, and some of the Tom Peters things, like if you trust them really well, they'll do a really good job. Yeah, Tom Peters is great, but half his data made me rich and the other half about bankrupted me, because you just can't, there's a lot of these leaders, they take successful business experiences and they try and unpack them, and a lot of times they don't get it right. And I think one of his things was about how the reason nuclear engineers that work in a nuclear plant, the reason they do so well and they're so highly trustable is because they're trusted with a lot of power. That's not really true. They just don't want to fucking die.
That's a big consequence.
Yeah, that's kind of a motivating factor. They like to go home and see their wife and kids too. That's kind of although I don't know, for some it might be less than that, but it depends on the wife and kids and if they're teenagers. But no, so what we had was with my company was, we started having problems, and we'd bring people in, we'd hire them off the first interview, and we'd have problems. We'd have these problem employees, and we'd be firing them faster, and we'd have different issues. People that were freaking psychotics, and you'd start calling their ex-employers, like, was he psychotic there? And they're like, yeah. All sorts of behavior problems and bad hires. And so for a long time, we were just kind of like, what are we doing wrong? And we realized that we just need to invest better in the hiring process. So we started extending the hire process, where we started having 2 to 3 interviews, sometimes as much as 4. And it was really funny, because the more interviews you give people, the more relaxed they get. Like by the 3rd or 4th interview, they're showing up in, their underwear and some popcorn and shorts, and they're just kind of hanging out with you in a t-shirt and burping and stuff. And
that's how I am right now. Just if I wore
much,
underwear, I would totally be in my underwear right now.
Yeah, that's we didn't want to know.
Good thing I'm not standing right now.
The old Navy SEAL no underwear technique. I saw that coming. Anyway, I don't want to see that coming, actually.
TMI, Will.
TMI. Yeah, there you go. You guys must have had a lot of fun writing this book, eh?
We do. We have fun when we're together. We're a lot of fun. It's we perform as a high performing team. We're seriously. It's gotten to the point where we know each other so well. We're like family.
Yeah.
We really are. We're a family of choice. We've been there for each other through some tough times. We've been we've had a lot of laughs. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite things that I have ever seen Will do, it was actually in Tampa. It was after we spoke, and we were at the restaurant, and Will was teaching one of the participants' kids how to, chokehold right there in the restaurant.
How to murder somebody with 2 fingers.
And then she did it to her dad. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
I forgot about
those
that.
guys.
Yeah.
So, we have fun.
Yeah.
You have to.
Hey, Mr. 5-year-old, let me teach you how a Navy SEAL kills someone with 2 fingers, about 5 seconds. We break your labia.
Practice on your dad right over there, yeah.
The 2-finger death punch.
2-finger death punch. The Navy SEAL 2-finger. They use this on Bin Laden, yeah. I'm sure as an 8-year-old kid, you'll use it properly. I'm sure nothing will go wrong with this. Kids terrorizing this.
We were quite a show that day, let me tell you.
There you go.
That was fun.
There you go. So what we learned with our companies is by extending those interviews and trying to hire better, it made all the difference in the world. Like it totally washed people out. It was amazing how when we ran them through different people to interview. And then the other thing was teaching me and my interviewers to shut the hell up and let people talk.
Yeah.
And if you just shut up, let people talk in an interview, they'll tell you all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yes.
You just leave them hanging, and they'll tell you all sorts of stuff. They'll tell on themselves, really.
Seriously, if your interview is the interviewer is talking more than 20%, it's not a strong interview. It really isn't.
That's what I used to teach my people. I'm like, if I overheard them yippity yapping and trying to sell the job, and I'd be like, I just go in and slap them silly, pretty much. Don't do that, folks. Violence is never the reason, unless you're a Navy SEAL, of course.
The only reason.
That's why we bring you guys on board.
The only
slap
answer.
people around. Yeah, there you go. Gunfight leadership. I love this. I love this title, man. I mean, it's a great ready. So when you're talking about building high performance teams, what are the factors that, when we say high performance teams, what does that mean exactly?
Brenda.
So high performing. So Will and I, in our book, we actually came up with our own perspective of what we believe high performing teams are, and I'll let Will talk about what he views it as. But
Were you guys fighting through the book? You're making your own versions of everything?
We've never fought.
No, I mean, like, you're just like through the book. You have your version and his version. Is that
yes.
how the format of the book works? Okay.
Yep, absolutely. So Will's on the front half, and I'm on the back half of it.
Oh, okay.
But so when I look at a high performing team, I'm looking at the gifts that everybody brings to the table. Everybody's got a unique gift. We all come with, innate traits, and how do we best utilize those? And are we using people to, kind of plug and play into giving them an opportunity to exercise those strengths as best as possible? Mm-hmm. One of the other things that I wanted to definitely, because you started going down that road, is the challenging personalities and actually bringing people in. Mm-hmm. There's actually a section in this book that I wrote about that there's no room for narcissists on a high performing team. It cannot function.
No dark triad traits? Damn it. I like dark triad traits. They're my favorite. I have them for breakfast. Mix it with the Oreos and the Skittles and stuff. A little bit of psychopathy, sociopathic.
They taste great with
nature.
milk.
It tastes great with milk.
Yeah. And seeing all that, then that turns
Machiavellianism.
Yeah.
30 minutes later, clear room.
That turns into the HR version of Hell Week at that point.
Pretty much.
Like a whole nother description of Hell Week.
HR wants to see you now, sir.
That's right.
That's pretty much every week here on the show. In what was your version, William?
High performing team is basically a team that's working together in unison to accomplish a mission, whatever that mission is. It doesn't matter what the mission is. Everyone has a different skill set, and everyone uses those skill sets. However, everyone on the team should be trained in one another's skill set. So, for example, in the SEAL teams, I'm a sniper, but that doesn't mean that I can't breach doors. Like, I carry slap charges on my body, so if I come up to a door and we're clearing a building and it's locked, I don't need to call a breacher to come up and open the door for me. I have my own skeleton key, which is in my little leg pouch on my leg. I pull that thing out. I let everyone know that I'm going to blow the door. Pop the firing pin, and 4 seconds later, the door blows. Me and my buddy go in, and we unlock the door and we take care of business.
I like how you call it a skeleton key.
I'm not deeply trained to be a breacher. Like, I know how to calculate time, fuse, and things like that, but that's not my main skill set. My main skill set is actually in a leadership position, is being a leader, leading on the battlefield, or being a sniper, or things like that. But that doesn't mean that I can't get on the radio and make calls. I can still drop bombs if I need to drop bombs. There are guys that have very specific qualifications for that, but I'm also trained in some of those things, because that whole 2 is 1, 1 is none scenario. One is a single point of failure. One is a number, like the worst number you can have in your business. You should have redundancy for everything. It doesn't not everyone doesn't have to be a subject matter expert in everything, but everyone needs to have the ability to, we called it pick up basketball. When I would come in, and it doesn't matter if I go left or right. I know if you're coming behind me, you're going to cover my back. I know that if, we're coming in and we're clearing something out, we're always looking for a job. We're always looking to solve the problem. It doesn't matter who it is or who's coming in or who's doing what. And that's how a high-performing team works. We all have the same mission. We're all working in the same direction. We're all looking for what needs to be done next to make the job happen and get it done more quickly and more effectively.
Any final thoughts, Brenda, there on what he said?
Yeah, something about high-performing teams is that when, we both have led high-performing teams and we've existed in them as well. Mm-hmm. And there's just something about being in a high-performing team and leading one that is incredibly rewarding. Like, seriously, it's an opportunity for you to look back at your own career, and next thing you know, you're like, that is some of the best time that I have had. Is because it makes it, you're just winning, you're accomplishing. I mean, we have our different challenges along the way. And the challenges are more unique, and they tend to sometimes also be a little bit more high. But that's the thrill of being on a high performing team is okay, so here's the next peak, let's get after it.
And everyone loves that sort of stuff, in being on those teams. So let's move from the book to talk about what you guys do on your website, what sort of services you offer, how people are on board with you. Let's dig into that.
Absolutely. Actually, so we are in the process of now talking to people who want to bring us in and work with us within their organization to help them scale and build and grow and make more revenue, right? That's what business is all about. And it's awesome that we get to see these shifts starting to take place. If anybody wants to go ahead and communicate with us about that, we are available at missionreadyleadership.com.
Mm-hmm. And how can they onboard? I mean, is there certain clients you're looking for? Is there a minimum sort of net worth or size of company, et cetera, et cetera?
I'm going to let you tackle that one.
William?
We're looking for teams. We're looking for companies that want to scale. We want companies that want to make more money. Mm-hmm. We will help you make more money. We will help you scale. We'll help you do the things that you need to do based in improving leadership, based in helping your team become a high-performing team. I like to say, I like to help leaders lead their team like it's a SEAL team, and I like to help turn employees into team members. Mm-hmm. Because an employee is just there to check in and check out, punch a time clock, and do their time. A team member is there to accomplish the mission. And so we're going to help you turn your employees into team members and help your leaders lead like they're leading a SEAL team.
There you go.
And so that will help you create more money, more impact, scale, all those good things.
Okay. So give us your .coms as we go out so people can find you on the interwebs.
Brenda?
Again, you can find me at yobrenda.com. If you really want to be bold, then you can also find me at my full website, which is brendaneckvatal.com. Mm-hmm. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, brendaneckvatal.com, TikTok, or you can just do it simple by finding me at #DearBrenda.
There you go.
Best way to reach out to me is 5sealsecrets.com, the number 5, SEAL, SEAL, like Navy SEAL, 5sealsecrets.com. And again, the secret is to get naked. If you want to know what Get Naked is all about, go fill out the form and I'll email it to you. And then if you want to work with me individually speaking, we've got, you can reply to those emails to get a hold of me, or again, going back to missionreadyleadership.com to hire both of us to come in and speak and help build your team into a high-performing team.
There you
Absolutely.
go. Thank you both for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
And thanks, our audience, for tuning in. Order up the book wherever fine books are sold, called Mission Ready, Building High-Performance Teams from the Battlefield to the Boardroom. Some of you guys have boardrooms that are like battlefields, so I've seen, there's a lot of what was that term that we were using? Gunfight leadership going on.
Gunfight leadership. I know
boardrooms.
I know a guy that can maybe help.
Yeah. I have this image of a boardroom, top some sort of New York skyline view, and everyone's behind walls and shooting each other behind chairs and cross shooting, and probably
maybe I need to go invest in some Nerf guns and then bring those into some.
That they
go
can
ahead
throw
work it out
through the windows. So
it'd be awesome.
Thanks for going to the show, guys. Thanks, our audience, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one of the TikTokity on those crazy places on the internet. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you.